in Future Firm, I believe you have 15 remote staff all over
Yep.
the world, and which is amazing. How do you see AI kind of fitting in with them in the next year or two? What do you see happening there?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't see it as a replacement. I see it as an augment. I see it as a complement. Anyone that thinks they're going to be able to, replace individuals to handle, a lot of the service delivery work, I think we still got a ways to go there for a variety of reasons. I think it's worth playing around with and understanding the technology, though. Generative AI, ChatGPT, these sorts of things. I think what's really interesting is we're always trying to duplicate ourselves. You sometimes hear business owners say, if only I could like duplicate myself, to have something great on my hands. I think we're very close to that happening. And in fact, that's something I've been personally playing around with. And as a feature in our Future Firm Accelerate program, we just launched very recently, something I call Ryan Bot. So there's a lot of people that want like coaching from me, and I don't do one-to-one coaching anymore. But we're able to train AI to talk like us, sound like us, speak like us. If we can get whatever is in our head out into the system and train it in terms of how we typically interact with people, which is what I did with this Ryan bot, then we can in some ways duplicate ourselves. And then, we look at, I'm a big proponent of like the gold, silver, bronze type offerings, the three-tiered approach. So you could have these digital AI clones providing support to clients or customers on your base tier, as an example. And on your premium tiers, you can provide, the unlimited access to yourself as another extreme. So maybe I'm taking this conversation in a different direction here, but I'm excited about these types of capabilities and how some of the more modern forward-thinking firms out there can leverage them to their advantage.
It's amazing what's happening and how quickly it's happening. And I think that with everybody having access to ChatGPT, the difference is going to be in proprietary data. That is you in your particular case. Having that proprietary data, having your knowledge, and being able to then utilize a large language model in conjunction with that data is really powerful. And so I would agree that people should start to be thinking about what is your data? What data do you actually have that you can leverage? And most people are like, I don't have any data, because they think of data and they're thinking, oh, I have all these data points from like Walmart or on consumer behavior, but you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of data that you might be able to leverage. And so I think that's great advice. So on the team side, can you give us some helpful hints and tips as far as how do you build a good remote team and how do you continue to support them long term?
I think it's the same principle building a remote team than you would build a non-remote team. We have to find good people. We have to attract good people. We have to land them on our team. We have to properly onboard them and train them and support them. And I think that's what a lot of people like think about is, okay, well, I have a local team and now I have an offshore team and it's going to be completely different. And really, I mean, for me, it wasn't real. I didn't really skip a beat. I did have an onshore team when I had my firm, Zen Accounting. We were virtual pretty early on, and I was hiring people across the country where we were operating virtually. When I launched Future Firm, I started offshoring to other countries. And the only thing that I think you do have to be aware of is some of the cultural differences and be a little bit more sensitive to that. There are some nuances there. Like, for instance, we have, a portion of our team in the Philippines, and there are certain cultural traits. Perhaps they're not as outspoken as, someone in US or Canada would be. Perhaps they're not as blunt. Perhaps they take things a different way, so you have to be kind of in tune to that. And I imagine that's where you kind of help out as well, Bill, is maybe perhaps training some of that offshore team or, communicating to some of the firms you're dealing with about how you might want to be interacting with some of these individuals. I'm not sure, but I think that's, again, maybe I took this answer in a different direction, but I think that's the big thing when you're dealing with offshore is we're dealing with different cultures. They're still people, we're not treating them like machines or robots. They're people. And the one thing that we have to be more in tune with is bridging the cultures together.
Absolutely. And one of the books that I like is called Foreign to Familiar. Don't know if you've ever heard of that before. It's
No,
a
I have
it's
not.
it's a great book about hot and cold climate cultures, where a lot of Latin cultures would be hot climate cultures, cold climate cultures would be U.S. or at least a good portion of the U.S. The southern part of the U.S. is more of a warm climate culture,
Hmm.
and you go over to like Germany and Europe, more cold climate cultures, more
Yeah.
task oriented,
Yeah.
whereas the warm climate cultures are more relationship oriented.
That's
And
interesting.
in doing so, how you respond in the way that you respond. So, for example, and I'm sure you probably see this, you go overseas, you're basically treated like royalty.
Hmm.
But at the same time is there, think, oh, what could be bad about that? But at the same time is they would be hesitant to perhaps bring you bad news. And so you really need to some of that cultural understanding to be able to take your teams to the next level, because you want to, by understanding them better, you're going to be able to elicit better responses. You're going to be able to make sure that we're all on the same page, because they want to do a good job. I found that across the board,
Yeah.
people, nobody comes in and says, "Hey, I want to screw over my employer." I now maybe they do that in the States or in Canada, but I don't see that overseas. And are they always as effective as we would want them to be? No, but that's generally on me or on our team. And so that's what we do is we have coaches actually who help them to bridge that culture gap on both sides, both with the people, the clients that hire our team, and also our team members as we train them. So I'm doing coaching with them twice per week. I have two 10-minute meetings in the morning just to kind of introduce them to different ideas, help them to grow. I actually have a twofold mission in life: to give people opportunities and help them to grow. And it's one of the reasons I work overseas, because I believe I can make an outsized influence in people's lives. Here in the United States and in Canada, I think if you want to learn, if you want opportunities, you can get them. They're generally there. It might take a little bit of searching, but for a lot of people overseas, they don't really have those opportunities, and many people are desiring that, and I love the fact that I can be a part of their growth.